Hi, welcome to this Blender tutorial. Today we're going to be making a Marshmallow Man character within Blender. So let's start by adding a mirror modifier and a subsurf modifier. So we're basically going to start modeling the head and the body, and we're going to add some loop cuts to add more geometry back to the body, and just scale and edit the body and the head into place. So again, loop cuts add more geometry to the mesh, and that allows us to add more details. So now we're going to add the arms in, and again, we're going to use the same process of modifying a cube, and again, just adding details. So here again, I'm using loop cuts to better define a hand, and now I'm using my 3D cursor in order to manipulate my mesh and uh, set my origin of the arm to the 3D cursor in order to better manipulate it. So again, I'm adding detail, just scaling things. Okay, and I think that looks pretty good. I'll go back and add some details, but for now, I think that's all right. So let's join all the meshes together, and now let's work on the legs. So again, we're going to do the same thing. Add a subsurf, add a mirror modifier. Make sure your origin is at the center, so your mirror modifier can work properly. And then we'll add some loop cuts to add topology. And yeah, let's work on the legs. We'll add some feet. Um, and we'll just scale everything together and make sure it looks nice. Again, I want the feet to be a little rounded because this is supposed to be a marshmallow man. So yeah. So now I'm using proportional editing to basically move my mesh to where I want it. And again, that's O on the keyboard. Um, and that was just to shrink the legs a little. Now I'm just going to rescale the arms just so they better match how I want my character to come out. And I think I'm going to actually put my character into a T-pose so it's easier to rig, as you'll see later. Um, and I'm just going to shrink the arms a bit, um, add some detailing. So I'm going to move the arms a bit. And then I'll adjust the legs. They might be a little too small. Move the arms back, and let's join everything together. So now we'll work on the head a bit. And again, we'll hide the rest of the mesh so we can better access the head. And we'll add some more definition to the body because we want him to be a marshmallow man who's a little plump. We'll add loop cuts in order to basically square off our mesh a bit, especially the head area. And we'll add more definition and round out certain parts of the body. Um, let's scale together the head because I think that's a little too spherical. That looks better. We'll add more definition to the head. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Let's start adding more details. So let's add some eyes, and that's pretty easy. Just add some cubes and subsurf will take care of the rest. So now we're going to use the merge feature, or the clipping feature of the mirror modifier. And as you see, clipping works by basically adding together any vertices that are at the edge of the mesh and clips them together. So now let's use that, and we'll create a mouth. So again, we'll just add some more loop cuts to add some definition, and we'll just basically mold our mesh into place. Okay, let's enable smooth editing, and I think I should fix the legs a little. They looked a little strange, so I'm just editing and adding a few more definitions. I think the arms have a little too many edges, so I'm going to get rid of an edge, but let's work on adding some definition, straightening out the character. I'll adjust the arms a little, and yeah, I'll get rid of that edge. And I think that's pretty good. Um, yeah. So now let's add a rig. So let's get to rigging. And again, I'm going to start rigging. So let's extrude that bone out. And we'll basically start naming our bones. So I'll call it spine and hips. And let's click T and enable um, our mirror modifier for our bones. And yeah, let's extrude out the arms using Shift E and extrude them again using E, and do the same for the legs. So we're just going down the mesh and just adding new bones. And let's add a head. And we'll just rename everything. It's important to have good nomenclature and good practice when naming your rigs. It just makes it much easier to control and use. So it's good to keep that in mind. So now let's start creating our IK rig. So we're going to make sure that all the IK controls are disconnected from the actual rig, because if you don't, it'll cause a lot of errors. And we'll continue on. And now we'll just rename all their bones. And once we're done with that, we're going to switch over to pose mode, which is achieved through either the bottom menu, or you can just type in Control Tab. Control Tab opens pose mode, and let's start adding constraints. So we can use Shift Control C in order to start adding constraints, or we can use the side menu. Parent the elbow bone to the hand bone, and yeah, so we'll continue to add IKs to the rest of the rig. Now we'll work on the legs. And for the legs, we'll do something a little different. We're going to use bone roll on the legs and use the knee bones for bone roll. And you see the leg is inverted the wrong way when we use bone roll. So what we have to do is switch it over 180 degrees and everything's fine again. And so the IK rig is done. So we'll make a master bone and control all the other IK controls, and we're going to parent it to the master bone. And yeah, and now we have one master bone to control them all. And we're just going to uncheck deform for all of that, and then we're just going to parent the rig to the mesh. And that looks pretty good. I wanted to fix some topology because I saw a little shrinking. Should be fine. And we will select B-bone for the settings for the armature, and that's just for better visibility so you can see the mesh better. And we'll just make a simple pose here. I'm going to make sure that the rig is in the correct empty group. You really don't need to do that, but it's fine. I think the eyes were in the wrong empty group. So if you get some errors, just ask for help, and we'll be there. It's probably a problem with the empty groups. So we'll just finish posing up. And let's switch to cycles render. I'm going to set up a scene really quickly. And I think that lighting just looks pretty bad. I'll try some things out. See if that works. And then we'll add a ground plane. Then we'll just make a material. And that's just a simple material you just have to add. And we're basically done. So I'm just going to fix the body a bit. Just added a little more topology. And we can render out the scene. And that should be our finished result. So thank you guys for watching, and good luck.